6 August 1944. Dawn over the artificial harbor at Arromanches, Normandy. A low tide exposes the rusted ribs of sunken block ships, while the first pale light glints on the steel caissons of Mulberry B. The salt air is thick with diesel and wet concrete. From the open doors of cavernous LSTs, the rumble begins, a deep, unbroken growl of Detroit engines turning over in unison. One by one, M4 Sherman tanks roll down the steel ramps, the tracks clattering like iron rain on the floating causeways. They emerge dripping, olive-drab giants, fresh from American assembly lines, their white stars still gleaming with factory paint. Dozens appear, then scores, then hundreds, until the beaches vanish beneath an endless column of steel. This moment was not merely logistical, it was existential. For 3 years, the Wehrmacht had measured victory in hectares of Russian steppe and in the shattered boulevards of conquered capitals. German Panzer commanders had grown accustomed to numerical superiority in every theater they entered. France, 1940, the Balkans, 1941, the gates of Moscow. Even in the desperate days after Stalingrad, the Panther and Tiger remained technological marvels. Each one handcrafted by skilled laborers in the Reich, each one a dark cathedral of precision engineering. A single Tiger company could, and often did, hold an entire Allied corps at bay. Quality, they told themselves, would always trump quantity. Yet now, on this narrow strip of Norman sand, the arithmetic of industrial war revealed itself without mercy. Between June and December 1944, the United States would land more than 36,000 armored vehicles in Western Europe. In the single month of August alone, over 7,000 tanks and tank destroyers rolled off the ships, enough to equip 20 full Panzer divisions that Germany no longer possessed. The M4 Sherman was never the mechanical equal of a late-model Panther. Its 75mm gun could not penetrate the Tiger's frontal armor beyond 1,000 meters. Its thin side plates were vulnerable to the long 88. German crews knew these facts the way priests know scripture. What they had not calculated was the sheer velocity of replacement. Oberstleutnant Helmut Rittgen, commanding Kampfgruppe 1 of the 9th Panzer Division, watched from a shell-scarred orchard near Villers-Bocage as the tide of Shermans advanced. In his war diary he wrote simply, "They come again today, exactly as yesterday, and the day before. The same tanks, the same stars, the same calm faces behind the hatches. We destroy 10, 20 appear. We destroy 20, 50 take their place. The enemy does not run out." Rittgen, a veteran of Poland, France, and the Ukraine, closed the diary with a sentence that would haunt surviving staff officers: "I no longer believe in Endsieg." The emotional rupture was profound. German Panzer commanders had been raised on the myth of the Blitzkrieg, the idea that speed and decisiveness could compensate for material inferiority. They had seen French Somoua and British Matilda tanks abandoned in heaps for want of spare parts, had watched Soviet T-34s grind to a halt when fuel in factories failed. Now the myth inverted. American crews fought with the quiet confidence of men who knew another tank waited on the next ship, another engine in the next crate, another regiment of replacements already boarding trains in Kansas and Alabama. The Sherman became more than a vehicle. It became the recurring symbolic object, an inexhaustible olive-drab wave rolling forward with the inevitability of an ocean. By autumn 1944, the psychological effect penetrated even the most fanatical units. Major Herbert Rink, adjutant of Panzer Lehr, noted in captured correspondence that crews began counting not enemy tanks destroyed, but the days remaining until their own irreplaceable machines were gone. A Tiger commander in the Ardennes offensive would later confess that whenever he heard the distant clanking of tracks approaching through the fog, he no longer asked how many, but how soon until the next wave. The question itself marked the transformation, from predators of the battlefield to men who measured survival in hours. Production figures told the story with brutal clarity. Between 1942 and 1945, the United States built 49,234 Sherman tanks, more medium tanks than Germany produced of all types combined in the entire war. While German factories struggled under Allied bombing and chronic shortages of molybdenum and tungsten, the Detroit tank arsenal alone averaged 1,000 Shermans per month in 1943. Fisher Body, Pontiac, and Pacific Car and Foundry, names that once built Buicks and refrigerators, now poured forth armored vehicles the way civil plants once turned out automobiles. The Liberty ships themselves became extensions of the assembly line. Tanks were driven aboard still warm from the factory, cocooned in cosmoline, ready to fight the moment the ramp dropped. In this relentless rhythm lay the deeper revelation. The Sherman did not win by superiority of armor or gun, it won by embodying a society that could lose 1,000 tanks and remain unmoved. A democracy whose industrial base was so vast that destruction itself became irrelevant. German commanders, products of a hierarchical culture that prized the irreplaceable elite, confronted a foe whose strength derived from interchangeability, from the knowledge that every fallen crew would be replaced, every burned-out hull duplicated before the smoke cleared. And so the orchards of Normandy, the hedgerows of the Bocage, the muddy fields of the Rhineland filled with the endless clatter of tracks, the sound of abundance made audible. That sound followed the Wehrmacht all the way to the Elbe, a metallic heartbeat reminding them that the war had become a contest not of courage or tactical brilliance, but of endurance measured in millions of tons of steel. In the end, the Sherman tanks did not merely cross the beaches of Normandy, they crossed the threshold of German certainty. They taught a generation of Panzer commanders that some forces cannot be outfought, only outlasted, and that no fortress of will can withstand an ocean that never recedes. Long after the last Tiger lay gutted beside a country road, long after the Reich itself crumbled into memory, the image remained. An unbroken line of olive-drab tanks rolling down steel ramps into the surf, each one a quiet testament to a truth the old world had forgotten, that freedom, when fused with the creative energy of an entire continent, becomes a tide no dam of ideology can hold back forever.